Welcome to Bleav In 76ers with your hosts, former 76ers point guard Eric Snow and two Sixers fanatics in Marcus and Teja Dash. Bleav In 76ers is presented by BetOnline.AG.
BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports, contests, and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information from live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BLEAV50, that's BLEAV50, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bleav In 76ers podcast. I'm Marcus Dash. I'm here with our hosts, former legendary point guard Eric Snow and my brother Teja Dash. Gentlemen, it was media day yesterday, and today the guys are checking into training camp. Are you guys excited?
Yeah, definitely. Time to get ready. It's here. I mean, I don't know. This year is going fast for me. I don't know.
You made it. We made it, man.
It is going fast. From the time we ended that Miami game to now, I feel like this kind of went by so fast.
Short break. Yeah.
And once you get to football season, you just take your foot off the gas and let it go down.
It really goes. You're right. It really goes.
Glide.
It really goes fast. Yeah, you're right.
We're already in week 4 in football. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Exactly. Bye week start next week, or is it?
I think week 6.
Week six. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're getting a bye week season already. That's
crazy.
Eric, do you remember? Was media day a fun day for you guys when you played?
It wasn't not fun. It wasn't necessarily fun. It was
an obligation.
It was an obligation, but it was really like the enthusiasm that you knew the season was right behind it.
Yeah, that's true.
So it just became a part of being ready and getting ready for the season. Like, it's really here. To go and take your pictures and make it run and do everything. You kind of you came to understand that was just a part of training camp starting. So I'm not sure of how they do it now, but that was how it was done, and you kind of felt like, okay, it's here. It's time to get busy, and all the talking, and you knew camp was right behind it.
Mm. Do you think players are more I'm not going to say personable now, but more just used to being asked things and are more comfortable around it all? Because now access is all the time, right? You didn't even need a media day to be asked 1,000 questions throughout the year. But now, back then, it was like that was like the floodgates opening for the access to start again, almost, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think to me, the main difference is, these guys now with social media are so active as far as everything that they do. And I'm just speaking as far as basketball wise, their workouts, their training, and all of this. So people kind of had questions that they could ask them about. Whereas with us, it was just like, hey, I haven't seen you since our last game when we lost. Or our exit meeting or exit, interview. That was the last time I've seen you. So they aren't interested in how your summer went. It was more of, what happened last season and how do you move forward, or new additions and anticipation. So it's all anticipation about this season, and that, 3 months you're out, it's like no conversation about it. And I think that's kind of a huge difference. And we're asking James about his weight and all this other stuff. Like, we got no questions about like that stuff. Mm-hmm. To me, that's just, that's the major difference. But I think a lot of the guys that I played with, especially those older guys, they weren't having that.
So one guy asked James yesterday, I think it was the dumbest question that I heard personally, was he was saying how he had dark times with his injuries. Yeah. And he gave him the full answer, and they were like, can you tell us any more about that? He's like, what do you mean? You want me to tell you how I was feeling during my dark times? They're like, yeah. He was like, no, I'm not going to tell you that. Like, it was like, what? What do you want me to do? Like, what are you, a therapist? What the hell? What do you think you are?
There's no hesitation in being evasive with your questioning. Now, you know what I'm saying? Like, the personal life, if it wasn't pertaining to basketball or your availability, it was like, wasn't even spoken of at any time.
I will say from the journalist aspect of things, Teja, they do in pressers like that with politicians, players, they do say, what's the worst that's going to happen? They can say no and don't answer your question. So ask away. That's what.
Oh yeah, sure. But I mean,
yeah, I mean that's true. That is true that you can ask and ask away. But when you violate, when you piss somebody off or you do something, then you impact the relationship that you're supposed to be having going forward with that guy. So that's the risk that you take by asking questions that you probably shouldn't be asking.
And are those details worth it? Like, you already got the main part of the story, which is he went through dark times. You want to know a thought, thought by thought, minute by minute? Like, what are you looking for here? Like, what do you want?
I mean, it's like, what answer could you have wanted him to give you?
Go deeper
on that
into
question.
Yeah,
that wasn't client therapist. Privacy, like what could he have given you?
Dark times is pretty good. Well, I mean, depressed. I mean,
take it however you want to take it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
more specific as far as anxiety, depression. You know what I'm saying? But that's still a private issue, and it doesn't concern him right now, going forward and playing games. Right? He's here right now. He's present. So it's really no need to go there.
Yeah, that's just being nosy, just to be nosy.
Yeah, you journalists, like you said.
Yeah, I wasn't like that though. I wouldn't pry on those kind of details. Well, unless it was a politician holding their feet to the fire, but that's a totally different thing altogether. No, not James Harden in his dark times. All right, we'll begin with so media day questions. So our episode today is pretty much focusing on the most. The biggest moments of yesterday's media day, and that we feel are the biggest moments, and we're going to talk about them. So the first one is we're gonna dive deep into Teja's guy, Matisse Thybulle. So Daryl Morey said that Thybulle has been the most consistent player in Camden all offseason, putting in countless hours. I think they specified Matisse, Tyrese, and Paul Reed. No one outworked them at all this offseason, which is great to see the young guys getting in the work. Matisse probably hearing our podcast here in Teja saying he needs him to shoot a certain percentage. Maybe that's what it is. But
sleep over that.
But Morey also spent a portion, Matisse spent a portion of his offseason working out with Damian Lillard and renowned shooting coach Phil Beckner and DeRozan. So with the lack of wing defenders on the team, are we all underrating just how important Matisse is to this team's success this season? Eric?
Oh, you want me to go first?
we can have Teja go first because this is his guy.
I can go. Like, look, I've said it before, and Teja kind of gives me a side eye when I have said, don't be surprised if he's your starting three. I said that.
You have said it a lot.
I did say that. Yeah, I've said that. So, I can say if the work that he's put in, I think hopefully it's very beneficial for him. But I think if his growth is really well, it could be a terrific blessing for the Sixers. Terrific blessing. Not just the growth from, obviously, for Teja being a higher 3-point percentage shooter, but also being an even more consistent defender, being more versatile. Just because you're a good defender doesn't mean you can't improve. So he can improve on that. I think you improve on his confidence. Mm-hmm. And so I think if he can do those things and he can be more consistent with it, and I'm not sure if starting will help him for that or not. But I do know that he seems to be excited about going this season and what he could bring to the table. So hopefully it does, translate for him, and he's able to increase his play going forward.
Teja, there was also a tidbit too. This was a question that I was like, is that Teja at the press conference? Or is that, the question was, is there a specific target percentage that he wants to shoot this year? And Matisse said 100% is what he said. And I was like, oh, okay, Teja's going to love that answer.
Teja will be excited.
Aim for the stars, hit the roof, and roof hopefully is above 31. I agree too. I think defensively, I was thinking about this too. It's like, he's so good at pursuing the ball when it passes him. I almost think that's like his strongest part of his game is attacking someone once they've driven by him. He's so good at tracking the ball. It's one of the best. I think he's one of the best at it in the NBA, period. I wish he'd get better with the ball, the player in front of him with the on-ball defense. But for all the crap I've given Matisse, I think, I mean, I was listening to Zach Lowe and Bontemps' show last week, and they had a really long segment on the Sixers, and their biggest concern for us this season was wing defense. Do you have guys who can guard Tatum and Brown in the series? Matisse could be that guy, but they both dismissed him really quickly because they said on offense we play 4-on-5 because he can't dribble, he can't shoot, he's not a player out there pretty much. It was great to hear him say not only did he work on shooting this season, he worked on a lot of ball handling. Because I noticed a lot of times when Matisse gets a steal, when he gets a loose ball, kind of craps his pants a bit. He doesn't know what to do with the ball. He flips it up in the air, and it's like, dude, what are you doing? Just give it a second. I'd rather have you take a second and let the defense catch up to you and get it to the right guy rather than just flip it up in the air to try to save time on a fast break. So it's nice to hear that he knows exactly what he needs to work on. But yeah, I mean, if he can get his shooting and ball handling up, I don't see why he couldn't start at 3. His 3-point shot again. 30% last year, 31 the year before.
Yeah, I don't.
It's not enough.
Him improving the way he wants to and the way the team would like him to is more important than starting because he's still in a position where he could play significant minutes if the improvements are there. And I don't think
if he looks that good to the point where they feel like they have to start him, that's great, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think if they're going to start him, and they're definitely going to start him, it's because you see that the value of starting him, and you see the value of increasing his minutes.
Yep. Yeah. His rookie percentage was 36. If he can get back to that, or even meet halfway between 31 and 36, give me like 33 and a half. That'd be great. I mean, I think you just know, and I'm sorry for cutting you off. I'm just saying you know now, having James and having, Joel and, 2 more offensive guys, in the starting lineup, that you're going to get open looks. Yeah.
That's why I said the confidence is a huge piece of it. You could put in all that work, with that, that hard work and then that repetition. But if the confidence don't meet that, you just working hard and repeating the same thing, but you're not believing that you can do it. So that's why you see a lot of guys that do all that hard work and do all that repetition to get in the game, and that popcorn start popping, and it's different.
Mm-hmm. Which is funny when you're teammates with Joe and Harden because, people always make fun of guys' videos when they post shooting jumpers in an empty gym. And it's like, oh, well, that's not a game situation. And there's going to be a guy in his face. With Joe and Harden,
it's still
a game. It's not live.
You're going to get shots. It's just the confidence is huge when, and we've seen it with other players, and I know personally, when teams are making you the guy to shoot based on their defense, we're going to allow you to shoot. We're going to leave you wide open.
Pressure's on.
And I believe, especially if he's in that starting lineup, that's going to come, and that's going to come early and often. Are you ready for that? I know when my first time starting in the playoffs, I was going to the game. We were playing at Orlando, and Mo Cheeks came to me, and maybe, I don't know if it was the day before the game or the day of the game. and he was like, they're going to leave you wide open. You got to shoot it. You got to shoot it and just make it. Don't run away from it. You got to shoot and make it. And by him telling me that, it kind of prepared me for that moment. So I had that in my mind. Oh, they're gonna try to leave me wide open. I mean, the first pass of the game, I threw the AI, and Penny Hardaway just took off and went to double Allen, just right away. Allen threw it back, and Penny just looked at me. I didn't even try to run back and recover. He just looked at me. So they were basically like, well, you want this? And I stepped right in there and made the shot. And it was like, boom. It was like I was good. Oh, I know how to play now. I got this. Oh, that's what y'all going to do? I'm stepping right in. I'm ready for that. But having someone kind of like give me that heads up almost.
Green light.
Was like all you needed to kind of be like, not only really for the confidence, but it's really to just be ready for it. And the same thing happened like my first year in Cleveland. The first year we went to the playoffs. So we went to the playoffs. First time we went and we played Washington. And I can remember telling LeBron, like, hey, man, they're gonna double you off the bus. It's like, so you gotta be ready. You're gonna have to, trust it. You have to throw us the ball. Like, we don't make them, it's gonna be on us. Mm-hmm. But I'm telling you, they're gonna double you off the bus. Mm-hmm. And they did. And him being LeBron, he, finding everybody, and we were knocking out shots and we beat him. So game 2, it was like, hey, we kind of heard them, so they're gonna come in, they're gonna mix it up. I'm not saying that they're gonna W every time. They're gonna play games with you. They may double off certain guys, they may, stunt, they may act like they're gonna double and then come back to kind of get you off balance, but they're gonna change it up. And they did, and they beat us. And it was sort of like we were off balances based on like what they were doing. It was kind of taking us a minute to figure it out. And they played better than we did, but we ended up winning the series. But I'm just saying, like, the game of the playoffs is, I'm starting to see that more in the regular season on certain teams, certain games where teams are coming in. It's something that may hold for the playoffs. They're coming in like, no, we're going to make him shoot today. And I think that's going to happen with him.
Yeah.
Thybulle immediately. I personally think there's so much parity in these leagues that I think the teams are going to come in and we got to win games, about tiebreakers, that they're going to kind of use some gimmicks that they would probably hold. But more teams are doing it in the playoffs. I mean, in the regular season, which means that if it works, guess what the next team's going to do?
It's good prep for the the playoffs.
Yes.
So it's a good thing they do it. I mean, and he, Thybulle's been here throughout the Ben Simmons years. He's heard all the just shoot it stuff. So
it's different. It's great to hear all that, but it's different when it's you.
Yeah. 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 I'm sure all the heat on Simmons actually took pressure off of Thybulle. He's like, well, what about him? He's not shooting. So it's like,
Thybulle, I mean, he got heat. Like, we're fans and you got all this heat on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want him to be on the court more, and that's going to be unlocked by him being somewhat of a threat to hit an open jumper. I just, I want him to be there. I want him to be that guy.
Open 3. Yeah, that's what it is now.
Yeah, open 3.
Yeah,
just 30. Give me 30.
Specify that.
33.5. Give me 33.5%.
Yeah, that's what analytics. I tell you, that's what analytics say. 33.5.
Yeah, and that's right in the middle between his rookie season and like now. So it's like right there, just the middle between your best and your worst. There you go.
So once he shoots 33.5, you leave him alone.
Yeah,
he said 33.5.
If his defense still looks the way it's been, yes, yeah. Well, because if he takes 33.5 and then becomes a open door defense and no, not anymore. But
he's not gonna take that. He's not gonna take a step back on defense like that.
I would hope not. Here's another question while we're on Thybulle. If he's like 30 again, is he like? I mean, we tried and take it easy. I mean, like if he's like 29, 30%, just not. I mean, open jumpers missing them.
Yeah, I don't know if getting rid of him is the answer. I just think that maybe his role is diminished.
But he's just not that guy. Like, okay, like
his
we're not. That ain't going to happen in Philly.
His role is diminished. Is almost like sort of the other reserves you had, where they sort of become just more
matchup
true and more defined role players.
Damn. And he loses value too.
If it goes like, in your example, that's, you become more of a.
To find the volume of this device, just ask.
You hear that?
What's your
so which one y'all say something about Google?
To turn the volume up or down, tap the right or left side of the speaker.
No, Google.
That's good.
That's
hilarious. Dude, all over, man. That's
if I said something, they pray. If I said, "Hey, Google," no, I shouldn't say that. I'm sorry. It's going to answer me.
You're going to be getting Thybulle updates all season from Google.
Yes.
Thybulle hit a 3. Maybe I need that.
Look, I got all those things. Don't even know how to work all these gadgets, man.
One other thing that Thybulle said yesterday, because I Bleav the year that he won Defensive Player of the Year at the Pack, Melton was like really close to getting it, and so apparently that's something that him and DeAnthony still talk about. Is that Defensive Player of the Year award in the Pack? So
yeah,
hey, if those two, if Thybulle's not starting, he's come off the bench. Him and Melton off the bench. That's a nice dynamic defensive duo right there.
Yep.
I like that.
We'll see.
We can mix and match.
We'll see. And Teja, okay, so your question, the hypothetical you said about Thybulle becoming a 30% three-point shooter, if he's dropped a little bit on his three-point percentage, what if he becomes a better on-ball defender, though? No? That wouldn't do anything for you?
I mean, man, 29% from 3 in the playoffs, that's like, again, like they said in that show, it's 4 on 5, man. Like it's not – man, you need to be one of the best defenders in the league to still get those minutes if you just can't hit an open jumper.
Yeah.
You got to be a threat, right? You got to be a threat.
Yeah.
And just seeing where you were with the Thybulle hypothetical.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope. Let's just hope.
Okay, so our next topic. Harden and Embiid were asked if this season would be a disappointment if they didn't go to the championship. And I know what Eric thinks on this one, but James flat out, Harden said, we're not answering that question. So the good thing about this show is we can answer these types of questions. So my question to you guys, if this season, would this season be a disappointment if we do not at least go to the finals?
I Bleav so. Yeah, I mean, the goal is to win the championship. I mean, at least the conference finals, you can probably get a pass. But what is the team built for?
Championship.
Yeah, I mean, James is not a young guy. I mean, that's what it's built for. I mean, it's built for a championship. And you got a year where, Boston got their situation, and, you pulled a guy from Miami. Then you got, Giannis, and we don't know if Middleton's coming back. We don't know his situation. So, Brooklyn, obviously the talent's there, but we really don't know with that dynamic. They had their situation.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be looking at this like, man, we got a shot. Yeah. And yes, if we don't make it, how many years we're going to get? Like I've said it before. I know I got criticized saying that Joel's championship window I don't think it's that big. Not from him being good.
Yeah.
It's going to always be good. I'm just saying for the years that we have, for him to have his best years and us to win a championship, with him being that guy that he is right now. I mean,
I don't know why you got talked about. It's a totally legitimate statement.
He's not the only guy in the league that have a window like that. Joker is the same thing.
Yeah. Big guys like that. I mean, they
don't do this for.
And he's got an injury.
12 years? Yes. They don't do it. But, so yes, to answer your question, yeah, I Bleav so. I Bleav that as tough as I think the East is when teams have all of their guys and they're playing well, I think it's extremely tough. But that's why I think the regular season is important. Home court should matter. Yeah. I think if you approach it that way and you get home court, then you got to win it. You got to win those games. And I think that was huge for Miami. I think it was huge for, Boston and Golden State. And you look and those, You just never know. But having home court helps, and it matters.
Not only just home court, because think of it, who's our biggest threat? Milwaukee. If we're first, then who's probably second? Milwaukee, which means we wouldn't face them to the Eastern Conference Finals. So
yeah, that's a great point. And then you look at Milwaukee last year and played Boston without Middleton. It took them to 7. Mm-hmm. Teams won, on the road. They did win road games on both sides. But in game 7, Boston won at home.
Yep.
So, Miami didn't, but had a chance.
Yeah.
So you just want to put yourself in the best position. But yes, I'm saying I don't necessarily say winning a championship, is or it's a failure, but I'm saying conference finals, yes. We've went to the second round, and that's we can't even look at that anymore. That's like we did that years ago.
No.
So you got to get to the point where it's almost like the Pistons teams when they lost all of those consecutive conference finals before they went to the finals when Coach Brown showed up. And they were going to the conference finals and was getting criticized because they couldn't get to the finals. So, we hadn't gotten to the conference finals, so it may get a pass by making it to the conference finals. But that being said, it would depend on how that series would go.
Yeah.
If you lose, how you lost. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you like Milwaukee last, you lose in game 7.
Yeah.
Then it may be like, well, how you played individually or adjustments or this and that, but it wouldn't be looked at as a failure. It just maybe that game is disappointing. But the season wouldn't be, but look, as disappointing. But other than that, yeah, that's how I see it.
I mean, I'll be disappointed no matter what, right? So unless we win.
I'll be disappointed, yeah.
But is it overall disappointment? I would say an improvement would be I don't think that'd be disappointing. I mean, not a failure. I'd say going to the Eastern Conference Finals, but then it goes down to how do we lose the Eastern Conference Finals? Yes. Does Embiid get hurt again, and then where he's out 3 games, and then we have to patchwork and try to come back when he comes back? That's been the rough part about our losses in the playoffs. They've all been either an Embiid injury or some kind of weird flu that he's had. So one way or the other, we never really had a legitimate full playoffs of health, but that happens. It's got to play with what you're dealt. But yeah, I mean, if we made it past the second round, though, all those Sixers second round exit jokes would go away. That's cool, right? So at least we have that. Tired of seeing those. I mean, if we lost in the finals, I'd still be pissed off, even when we made it there. But it is an improvement. Yes. So I'd say Eastern Conference Finals. I wouldn't be I don't consider it a failure, but I want to see how it would go down that way.
Yes. How it would go down would matter, whether it's most people would consider it a failure or not. It's a failure of the season.
Mm-hmm. Like Eastern Conference Finals, the Kawhi bounce. What would happen? You'd be disappointed there.
Very disappointed in the loss, and you know what I'm saying, but not saying, "Hey, we got a disappointing season." Like when that happened with Kawhi, we looked at man, we could have won. We could have won that. Then trying to win it, but we didn't look at that season as a failure. We looked at what could have been because it was dissolved after that.
Yeah.
Well, because this is
what I'm saying.
This is the first year that we've kept who we had and built off of it in a long time, because the Butler year, that was all mid-season acquisitions. We totally changed our roster. We had no depth. We stripped our depth. The next year, we flipped it and went the whole Horford, Josh Richardson thing. That didn't work. And then the next year after that was kind of Morey and Doc coming in, right? So a total new regime from top to bottom, getting rid of those guys, getting Curry in, redoing the roster. And then mid-season last year, got Harden. That's a totally new roster in mid-season. So, this is the first year we've kept who we had, kept coach, GM, and added to it.
So the year that we lost to the Hawks, weren't we, set going into that year?
The the year we got the Hawks, we got Morey and Doc that year, and they got rid of Horford. They dumped Horford for Green. They did the Josh Richardson for Seth Curry trade, and we drafted Maxey. So a lot got added into it.
But your best two players were there.
Simmons and Embiid were still there.
And Joel was there.
Yeah.
It just became a new coach.
New GM. New management, and then technically we lost two starters. We lost Horford and Richardson. It's kind of, that's kind of big of a turnover. Yeah, Simmons and Embiid staying there was consistent, but
I'm trying to remember who started that year.
The Hawks season.
Yeah,
you mean like our starting five?
Yes, Simmons at 1, Curry at 2, Green at 3,
Curry, Simmons, Curry, Green, Tobias, Embiid.
Yeah.
So basically, the same team as last year, pre-James.
Pre-James, yes, with no Simmons, obviously, but
no Simmons,
yeah. And then how we ended it was total different. At that point, it was very different. So it's interesting to keep what you like from the previous year and then add on top of it, which we only were able to do that because Harden did what he did with the contract thing. But
I got what
hopefully that wouldn't happen.
I get what you're saying. The consistency of your group. That's the one thing that like Milwaukee's had that, with some consistency.
So finally, no buts from us, which I do like. We're finally going into a season to start. We have our team. We kept our guys we liked. We built. We filled the holes we thought. Got our dogs. Got our rebounding. Our toughness. And then let's see what it is now. So I'm happy we finally have that. No more going into the season or mid-season excuses, which I'm tired of.
Yeah, I can see that. I got you.
And I think some players alluded to it yesterday that I think someone asked a question during media day about how this media day was so different from last year's media day, where we had the Simmons thing was kind of hanging over everybody, and that was every question towards the guys was a Simmons question, and you could tell the guys were just not happy about those questions. So
yeah, they're happy it's good. They're happy it's done. That's why.
Yeah, new beginnings now. And then just for those who are watching or listening, we haven't been to a conference final since our guy East Snow was manning the ship.
That was a long time ago, fellas.
A long time ago.
At that time, I had one child. Got a basketball team now.
I like that. So yeah, a while. So I think if we just get to that, and if we lose 6-7 games in a heartbreaking fashion, or it's a close series, I think that would be a win for.
Yeah, we'll be disappointed.
Oh,
what happened, but as a whole, like when you look back, there will be positives to draw from that kind of season. I don't think it'll be there's nothing to draw.
Yeah, I'll be throwing temper tantrums, tearing my jersey off, and crying myself to sleep that night.
Yeah,
that does happen. All right, but next topic. So Joel Embiid said his goal for the season is to be the number one, is to have the number one defense in the league. We already know about the sky-high ceiling for this offense. Obviously, Harden and Embiid's pick-and-roll game was graded so highly last year. But where do you see the Sixers realistically ranking on defense? And just an overall question, would you rather have the number one offense or the number one defense this coming season?
I would say number one offense and a top 5 defense. I wouldn't necessarily say it has to be a number one defense. Maybe even top 10 defense. Because I think if you have the number one offense and you have one of the top defenses, even if it's not number one, then your chances of winning games are extremely high versus the other way around, in my belief. Top defense and the top 10 offense. I just think that offense puts a lot of teams on their heels, and it also helps your defense be a little better because you're not playing against transition or teams that are breaking out for easy baskets and easy looks. So your offense can kind of help your defense. So that would be my choice.
We're aligned. I think the Sixers can be ranked realistically. I think top half the league realistic. I think they could go top 10. it's going to be tough. And that's another thing that I know Lowe and Bontemps really lamented on was it's going to be hard to rank really high when you have Harden and Maxey starting at 1 and 2 and playing major minutes together, because those are two guys that you can definitely target. You can target either one of those guys on the defensive side of the ball. So them together, I mean, it's going to be a little tough to start and close out games. How they mix and match minutes with the Thybulles of the world and the Meltons of the world, who will give an uptick of defense. We'll see what happens there. We definitely have guys off the bench who can play in multiple positions on defense. Melton can do that. House can do that. Tucker on the starting five can do that. Matisse can guard multiple positions on defense. So if Maxey can just take a defensive step up with Joe's Joe, I think Harris's defense has been overlooked the past few years. I think he's improved a lot. I know Butler gave him work with those pump fakes and pivots in the paint in the playoffs, but I that's not fair for Harris. You shouldn't be paired. You shouldn't be having to guard Jimmy for 30 minutes plus minutes anyway. So, but his defense has definitely improved. Tucker's Tucker, obviously. I don't think he's going to have a huge drop off. Even if he has a little drop off, it's still a really good defensive player. So we have 3 good defenders off the bench. We have two really good ones in the starting lineup. We have a mid-level starting lineup in Harris, but we have 2 in Harden and Maxey. So, and which one would I rather have overall? I'd rather have the number 1 offense. Besides everything you said, it's just much more fun, isn't it, to watch?
Got it.
All right. Okay, but you mentioned Maxey's defense. So Maxey did talk about how much defense matters this season. So my question to you guys, if Maxey was going to take another step on one side of the ball this upcoming season, would you prefer it to be on the offensive side or the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say defensively, from the simple fact that I think that if he can get to the point where we can put him on any guard, that would definitely help him and help the team. So whether it's a point guard or a wing, primary ball handler or not, that he's able to be that versatile and be able to, not necessarily shut people down, but average them out or better will definitely be an improvement. And that would go a long way with helping the team, in my opinion.
Huge. It's a great question, too, because most people constantly talk about Maxey taking another step on offense all the time. That's all you really hear about, actually. But he's already a really good, especially for his age, he's a really good, polished offensive player already. Like, what he's done is already leaps and bounds where people thought he would be at this point. So, I mean, yeah, he can get better, but I'd rather him become a more complete player. I'd rather him become someone who can't be targeted and bullied on offense or on defense. I'd prefer he take a step in defense and become a more complete player. At least not even, again, like you said, not even to lock someone down, but just not be targeted. Not have someone like Tyler Hero go, all right, just put 12 on Maxey in the next 5 minutes. Okay, cool. Just to have someone not be a complete liability where Joe knows he has to help out because Maxey's over there on ISO. Because I think Harden is who he is on defense right now. But if we can put Maxey on the more athletic guard between the two and maybe have Harden be on the more bigger guard, at least it would play to their strengths a little more. And honestly, his defense needs a lot more work than his offense does. So for us to if we did want offense, it'd be greedy at this point because he's already so far ahead of where he should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you see a lot of Sixers fans talking about how much better can Maxey 3-point game get this year. It's like,
yeah.
I mean,
how efficient he was at 3-point shooting. It was ridiculous. I mean, if he gets better from here, you're talking about Dame Lillard potential on shooting. He's already pulling up for 30 footers and no one's guarding him out there. So I actually think he might regress a little bit, which wouldn't even be that bad. The rate he's going, I mean, you can't get that much better that fast, right? I mean, unless you're just one of the top 10, 15 players of the league. I don't think he's there yet. So,
got a lot of fans out there who are ball watchers, man, on football and basketball. They like scoring on offense, man, ball watching.
Yeah, always.
But Because the getting targeted on defense in the playoffs is what's going to make us lose, though.
Yeah.
Not him scoring 23 instead of 18. That's not going to lose us the game. We already have enough guys who can put the ball in the bucket. We need a guy who can stop the guy from putting the ball in the bucket, you know?
Yeah. No, 100%. So our last topic of the night. So outside of the starting five, which everyone talks so much about, which player will you guys be watching and paying the most attention to during training camp?
Should we exclude Thybulle from this question?
I mean, that's the easiest guy.
It is very easy
because that's the guy that probably has the most uncertainty on how his role is going to be defined.
Absolutely.
So if since we spoke about him earlier, let's probably, besides him.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I would say James. I think the reason why I say that is his approach and his start for the season. He's historically had some slow starts at times.
It's true.
So I would like to see how this year goes. Because based on his comments, he anticipates it being different.
What about outside the starting five?
I would say not necessarily one individual. I want to say the bigs, but I'm going to say the wing perimeter players that are returning.
Okay.
Who's going to get some separation and who could make a big jump to be like, hey, this guy is earning his stripes to be in this rotation and stay in it.
Like Ferk, maybe Isaiah Joe.
Shake.
Yeah. Who might be our primary.
Separate themselves from the pack.
Yeah. And he was even saying yesterday how last year was such a lost year for him, he felt, because
I'm anticipating, I would like to see that right there.
I'll do starters and non-starters. I think the James is obviously fascinating, not only just for us and Sixer fans, but just like you said, he's done something different this year. I'm really curious to see how, because he always says he kind of uses the season to get into basketball shape, whereas he's so far ahead this year, he's already in basketball shape. Now he's just going to shake off some of the offseason rust, right? Whereas usually he used the season to get into shape. I'd love to see how that impacts the start of his season and how much better he's going to be to start off the year.
I mean, the preseasons are so short now.
It's like
before you know we're going to be involved. And even just from a week standpoint, weeks and before from first practice to first game, the time in between is so short. Before you know, we're going to be in Boston playing the first game.
Yep.
So
bench, I love the wing answer. I'll be a little more specific. I'll say Melton, just because he brings so much that we've kind of been lacking. I know we have some guys who can move, but he is probably our most explosive and athletic player we have. Probably our best defending guard at 1 and 2 at this point. If I was going to put one guy on a point guard, I would probably put Melton on him. And then I'd say maybe our best rebounding guard, although we probably have two of the better rebounding guards in the NBA, actually. Maybe two of the top 10, probably, which is pretty cool. But I also want to see more so for Melton. I want to see if he can, because he has spot guarded bigger wings. I want to see if he can maybe, as he's gotten older and stronger, handle more of those on a night-to-night basis, because then you can start talking about maybe playing him at some smaller wing with Harden and Maxey in certain lineups, if he can handle that, if he can do that in like 2 to 4 minute spurts. So I want to see if he can handle guarding slightly bigger players, because he's got a crazy wingspan. I think it's like 6'8", 6'9" or something wingspan. And he's got great instincts, and I think he can do it. I just want to see if what happens, especially with having Joe back there as support, knowing you have him behind you. It's a whole different ballgame, right? So yeah, I'd say probably Melton.
Yeah, I'm excited for any of the new additions between House, Trez,
man.
I just want to see how they work with the night shift that we got.
We have some great competition too, man. With the second unit, with House fighting for minutes, Niang fighting for minutes, Ferk fighting for minutes. Dude, Shake, who was one time a starter for us, now he's fighting for backup 1 minutes. I mean, we have a deep team. We have a fun second unit that it's going to be fun to track and see how these guys do. Our training camps will be entertaining.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch, and and we'll be able to see our guys in action next Monday against the Nets, and that'll be what we talk about next week on next week's show. But until then, that does it for us. Thanks for tuning in to Bleav In 76ers, presented by BetOnline. We'll see you guys next week as we discuss the reaction or the overreactions to Brooklyn Nets and 76ers first preseason game. So we'll see you guys next week.
All right, guys.
All right.
Later.